Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to UCTV Overtime. I'm Ryan Culloway.
And I'm Ethan Tremblay. Each week we'll give you the latest in UC's home sporting events and let you know what games are coming up.
Congratulations to the men's ice hockey team. On Saturday, they defeated Newman University with a final score of 6-0. This is their 5th straight victory of the regular season conference title, and its eighth overall in 20 years. Best of luck to the men's ice hockey team as they continue as the top seed in the 2021 UCHC Championship Tournament.
In other news, the Utica College women's ice hockey games against Lebanon Valley College were canceled this past weekend for undisclosed reasons. A makeup time is currently in the works, so make sure you keep an eye out for that.
On Monday, the men's soccer team did everything they could to keep pace, but unfortunately they fell to Elmira College by a score of 1-0. Utica is 0-3 to start the season as Elmira improves to 1-1. The Pioneers gave up the winning score when Elmira scored from inside the box in the 71st minute.
On Friday, the UC's men's soccer team secured their first win of the 2021 season over Alfred University by a score of 2-1. Pioneers had 8 shots on goal in the first half, but unfortunately nothing went in the goal as the score remained 0 at halftime. At the 60th minute, Colin McCarthy scored the first goal for UC from an assist by Ramazani Juma. Alfred quickly responded 3 minutes later with a goal of their own, tying the game back to 1-1. Shortly after, another goal was scored off the foot of Sari Conant, making this game-winning goal for UC. In total, Utica had 12 shots on goal, showing a dominant offensive performance. Congratulations to the men's soccer team for getting the first win of the season.
Yesterday, the women's soccer team faced Elmira College. The Pioneers played a great game, scoring 6 goals and keeping Elmira to 0. Utica played great offensively and defensively, with keeping Elmira to 7 total shots. Out of the 6 goals Utica scored, 4 different players had their first of the season. After this win, the women's soccer team's record moves to an even 2-2.
Last Monday, the women's lacrosse team played Castleton University. The Pioneers played a fantastic game, beating Castleton in an absolute blowout. Utica's Sam DeCondo and Lauren Wolf led the team in scoring with 3 goals apiece. The Pioneers had 14 different players score in the game. The team's offense was not the only thing going right for them, though. They were able to keep Castleton at bay, only allowing 3 goals, with the final being a whopping 22-3.
The women's lacrosse team was handed their first conference loss of the season on Saturday as they fell to St. John Fisher College by a score of 19-6. Fisher scored 7 of the game's first 8 goals and took a 9-2 lead into halftime. The Cardinals continued the pressure in the second half, outscoring the Pioneers 10-4, leaving the game with a 19-6 win for the Cardinals.
The football team got back on the field after a very long hiatus against the Alfred Saxons. The game started off with a quick touchdown for UC just 3 minutes into the game. Soon after, the Pioneers pushed for yet another touchdown in the first half, scored by Nate Palmer. Pioneers led into the second half with the score reading 21-10 in favor of UC, but the game did not stop there. With 7 minutes left in the third quarter, UC scored another exciting touchdown, slowly pushing the score to 28 over the Saxons' 10. Darius Johnson, Joey Lepani, and Jordan Weaver all had interceptions, making the defensive line very strong. Mikhail Medici scored all of the extra points for UC touchdowns, punting the ball right between the yellow and goals. Devin Bryant set a team high of 9 tackles, 5 of the 9 as counting solos. To the end of the first game season, the Pioneers proudly walk away with the win with a final score reading 30-17.
On Thursday, the field hockey team played their home opener against St. John Fisher College. The Pioneers did not get the result they were looking for, as they ended up losing the game by a score of 11-0. Megan Chamberlain had 11 saves for Utica in the loss, and Sabrina Whitehouse and Jesselyn Files had shots on goal as well.
Friday led for a thrilling battle against the men's basketball team against Russell Sage College. In the first half, UC had an outstanding offensive line, scoring 40 points. Of those 40, sophomore Darius Hopkins netted 16 points. Kobe Lufkin scored 4 three-pointers going into the half at 40 over Sage's 25. In the second, Sage brought back the gap to a 6-point difference, but the Pioneers did not let them slow down. Chris Green scored 11 points during the game, leaving the final score as a win for the Pioneers at 78-65.
At the women's tennis matches on Saturday, the Utica College Pioneers courageously defeated the Russell Sage Gators with an outstanding 9-0 margin. This match was the regular season finale, but Utica has moved on to the Empire 8 Conference Tournament as the 3rd seed. Freshman Ellen Colley started off the singles matches holding her undefeated streak of her collegiate career. She then teamed up with Ellen Liga and took the doubles match as another win for UC. Morgan Willis and Bianca Backhaus finished off the matches, winning the 3rd doubles with a score of 8-0.
On Thursday, the baseball team had a doubleheader against Houghton College. Travis Grogin started on the mound for UC, giving up only 1-1 in the first inning. Despite Houghton's early attack, the Pioneers scored 8 runs within the first 3 innings, giving UC a 8-1 lead. By the 5th, Houghton scored 5 more, making the score 8-6. Tyler Catafamo pitched the rest of the game for UC. He allowed 1 hit, struck out 1, walked another, and hit 1 batter, still giving up no runs. The Pioneers were strong at the plate. Matthew Fitzgerald went 2-4 with 3 RBIs. Sean Villegas walked twice, scored 2 runs, and had 2 RBIs of his own. Shamani McCullen went 2-3 with 2 walks and 3 runs. Joe Batista also had 3 RBIs of his own. With their strong performance, UC defeated Houghton in the first game with a final score of 13-6.
The Pioneers unfortunately fell in the second game. Brendan Sarnowski started on the mound in Game 2, making it his 2nd career start as a Pioneer. The Pioneers had a strong start at the plate. Daniel Parslow reached on an error which sent McCullough home from 3rd. Batista slammed a double to deep right center, sending Parslow home and advancing John Sun to 3rd. While Jason Story was up at bat, Sun stole home on a pitch that got past Houghton's catcher, which also advanced Batista to 3rd. Story grounded out to 1st, but Batista was able to score another run, giving UC a 4-0 lead. The score remained the same until the 4th inning, when Houghton made their comeback. Brian Dinnan took over the mound in the middle of the 4th with bases loaded. The first batter he faced hit a single to center field, which advanced all 3 on base, tying the game at 4. Houghton scored their 5th run 2 batters later after a single was hit to right. The final score of the game was 5-6 Houghton.
The softball team had their first home doubleheader on Saturday against SUNY Poly. Jordan Kant started on the mound for UC. She allowed 10 runs and struck out 3 batters. Caitlin Paul went 3 for 5 at the plate. She scored 3 runs, had 4 RBIs, a double, and a home run to lead the Pioneers. SUNY Poly had a strong offensive start. They secured 6 runs in the first 2 innings. The Pioneers came back not long after the Wildcats' early attack, as they scored 6 of their own between the 2nd and the 3rd. 4 of these runs were directly from errors made by SUNY Poly. The Wildcats attacked again, scoring 7 back-to-back runs, giving them a lead to 14-6. UC had a solid 6th, where they scored 4 more runs. Bailey McConnelly drove French home on a single. Caitlin Paul sent McConnelly and Emily Josh off of a double, and Paul later stole home on a wild pitch. This made the score 14-10. At their last at-bat, with 2 outs and 1 on base, Paul slammed the ball and hit a 2-run home run. UC sadly fell in Game 1 with the final score being 14-12 SUNY Poly.
UC came back strong in the second game. Gabby Kamako started in the circle for UC and did a great job. She allowed just 1 run on 8 hits, and she struck out 8 batters. The Pioneers had a strong offensive performance, scoring 9 runs on 12 hits. Both Madison Akatz and Megan O'Keefe had 2 RBIs and finished 2 for 3. Abigail Finch and Brooke Catlin scored 2 runs each. UC scored 3 runs in the second. O'Keefe drove Catlin home on a double. Julia Phelps sent O'Keefe home, also on a double, and Joss hit Phelps home. In the third, Catlin was sent home on a single by O'Keefe, making the score 4-0. Paul, Finch, and Straneski all made it home in the fourth, which continued UC's lead with a score of 7-0. SUNY Poly's Ariel Smith scored in the fifth, which broke their potential shutout. The Pioneers ended up run-ruling the Wildcats in the sixth. Erica Sanford scored on an error, and Finch scored on a Cots single to end the game. The final score of Game 2 was 9-1 UC.
This weekend is packed with many games for the Pioneers. Today, the men's soccer team will be facing Russell Sage College at 4 p.m. in Galantino Stadium. The football team will be traveling to Alfred University to face the Saxons at 5 p.m. And the men's basketball team will be at Elmira College with the game starting at 6 p.m.
Tomorrow, the women's tennis team will be competing for the Empire 8 Championship against Hartwick College here at UC at 6 p.m. Wednesday, the men's ice hockey team is starting the UCHC tournament against Manhattanville College here in Utica. The time for this game is still to be determined.
On April 1st, the men's basketball team will be facing Elmira College, this time at home at 5:30 p.m. The women's ice hockey team will be also competing in the UCHC tournament against Nazareth College in Utica. Puck drop is at 7 p.m.
All of Friday's games are scheduled to be away, starting with baseball playing a doubleheader at Elmira College, playing games at 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. The women's soccer team will be against Houghton College at 5 p.m.
To close out this week of games, Saturday, the men's lacrosse team will be at Cayuga College, playing at noon, while the women's lacrosse team will be home playing against Alfred University at 1 p.m. The baseball team will be playing another doubleheader home against Elmira College at 1 and 3 p.m. The softball team will be traveling to Albany to also play a doubleheader against Sage College. These games are also at 1 and 3 p.m.
And that is going to wrap up today's showing of UCTV Overtime. Good luck to all of those who have games scheduled for this week.
And don't forget to watch the live streams on ucpioneers.com.
I know I'll be watching.
Thank you all for tuning in, and always remember to
Fear the Moose.